So, I don't think the sound is really good on this laptop, but I'm gonna repeat all of these things. This is about this global war that is shaping up on the internet. It's been going on for a long time, of course, but AI is going to be mixed in with this rapidly now. That AI is mixed in with all of the surveillance, all of the automated surveillance is the reason why I'm doing most of the things I'm doing. And the deeper reason for that is that I've always been, well, actually since late 80s, I've been very much against all of this globalization. So I'm like a thought criminal in my own passport country. Well, the good thing is I'm not a thought criminal in other countries, like especially Buddhist countries. And now finally it is obvious from social media that many experience the same reality where they experience on the ground, being welcome on the ground in other cultures that are more sane, has less need to control their inhabitants' thoughts than the West, because their cultures are intact and all of that. So I saw this thing when I was doing some search on localized AI today. I visited Nepal, and I had a very interesting kind of meetup in a villa that was supposed to be run for startups by an idealistic Russian. And then I met a local entrepreneur who is doing localized AI, which means that he is taking control of AI for the country of Nepal, using their own texts in the Nepali language, using all of the old texts, and then providing that as the AI support for local companies and corporations. So this is a way of defending the culture, defending the people. Because if he doesn't do this, foreign forces will come in and do it, and then they will define everything. And it's not a coincidence that he had a couple of friends coming along that were not in IT really. I think one was an ordinary banker or something. And it's also not a coincidence that most of the time we talked about deities and spirituality, because the three of them met at a local teacher, like a local organic teacher that is not really belonging to any tradition. So like this real local thing that you'd probably never see unless you kind of go gravitate into it. And today I saw this thing, OpenAI, and this is a perfect example because it's introducing OpenAI for countries, a new initiative to support countries around the world that want to build on democratic AI rails. Every single word here is globalist. Introducing, yeah, well, they are like the only people who can work on it. OpenAI, it's a joke. For countries, this is weird. This is almost like they own all the countries, like all of the countries are by default their customers, and like, now we are gonna give you OpenAI, a new initiative. It's more globalist bullshit to support countries. Yeah, support countries as if they can't support themselves around the world. Globalist bullshit that want to build on democratic AI rails. Democratic, well, yeah, that's one type of democracy, like the type of democracy that I basically had to flee in the end. AI rails. What are these rails? That's not the technology only. The rules-based world order and all of that regulatory bullshit is gonna be in there. Will this be available for countries like Iran, even if they want to build on democratic AI rails? I might test that out. Our Stargate project, was that not like some kind of CIA project? Yeah, like the RV project. Our Stargate project. An unprecedented investment in America's AI infrastructure. Announced by President Trump and our partners Oracle and SoftBank. It's now underway with our first supercomputing campus in Abilene, Texas. Yeah, so, well, it's gonna be controlled from Abilene, Texas and not the Silicon Valley. Well, there's no difference. More sites to come, yeah. If people and countries all over the world let this happen, yeah, they'll invade and occupy everything like they've always done. We've heard from many countries asking for help in building out similar AI infrastructure. Yeah, those countries, the people who go to the US and ask for help in building out similar infrastructure, all globalist agents, that they want their own Stargate and similar project. Same. It's clear to everyone now that this kind of infrastructure is going to be the backbone of future and economic growth and national development. Yeah, this is right. But they want to keep on owning it all. This will be coupled with CBDCs. This will be coupled with complete control. This will be coupled with continuing to dismantle local cultures. Pure globalism. Technological innovation has always driven growth by helping people to do more than they otherwise could. Well, what happened to the West is that it's enslaved people completely. It's made people totally incapable of dealing with the real world. That's what it's done. AI will scale human ingenuity itself. This is very dangerous. Even if the globalist sphere collapses in on itself and it only keeps control of its own citizens, this belief that technology, AI especially, can scale human ingenuity is very dangerous. Drive more prosperity by scaling our freedoms to learn, think, create and produce all at once. Freedoms to learn and think in the way that the owners of this network of companies and all of this technology want you to think. So this, unless AI is done completely on the ground, with complete open software, maybe even air gapping those projects, and then launching them in local cultures. The same cultural manipulation and censorship will be spreading all over the globe in a way worse way than it's happened maybe like 100 years, at least after the Second World War. We want to help these countries and in the process spread democratic AI, which this is just freedom for people to choose how they work and direct AI. Now they're not gonna. Eventually, they're gonna couple biometric ID to this, and it's gonna be a complete digital gulag. It's gonna be a completely centrally controlled management of all of the economy, all of the technology, all of the peoples, all of the cultures, all over the globe. One single point of control. That is the plan, that's been the plan, that's what's going to happen unless people resist. The prevention of government use of AI to amass control. Yeah, because they want all of the control themselves. The government of the US that is collaborating with this network of companies. That OpenAI is completely corrupted, completely controlled, like all big, maybe all big tech companies in all nations eventually end up being controlled by the state, because economic power meets direct power. But this comes from the West, and I have a right to criticize the West. I've been in tech as a secondary role or a mixed role since the 80s. I did my part in the Cold War and as a specialist in the intelligence corps, the signal corps. I've got the right to criticize and warn against this. Likewise, we believe that partnering closely with the US government is the best way to advance democratic AI. I didn't even read all of this before I started doing the video. Yeah, well, they are stating it out in the open. And this is the point. This will be a global war. We are already in a war where the West has shut out countries in the internet, and you can argue about China having a firewall and not letting their citizens check what they want, but they are not. And they are shutting Google and everything out. I don't know too much about it, so I'm not gonna talk about it and argue around it. I need to test it out, so maybe I'll set up a VPS with a full GUI and just try to see how this works for a while, especially if I'm gonna travel there. We'll see. This is a moment when we need to act to support countries around the world that would prefer to build on democratic AI rails. Provide a clear alternative to authoritarian versions of AI that will deploy it to consolidate power. Well, all of the small people and nations and cultures that want to be left alone need to do it now. Because this will take over everything unless local cultures do it. This is the upcoming global AI war. So they are offering a partnership for the intelligence age. Yeah, we are deep into the intelligence and surveillance age. Partner with countries to help build in-country data center capacity. Well, I've been checking a lot of obscure countries, and they do have that capacity on their own. Provide customized chat GPT to citizens. I'm very happy that I bought a shared account to abuse ChatGPT, and I'm very happy that my testing so far has been in the sandboxes and things. And I'm trying to provoke it as much as I possibly can, of course. But it's a glorified algo after all. Continue evolving security and safety controls for AI models. Yeah, they need to check on everything. Safety controls and security, so everything will be completely surveilled and stored and analyzed by the owners of this hub. Together raise and deploy a national startup fund. Well, I've seen the startup word from the inside. I've seen the financing in a tiny scale. I've even monetized open source on a super micro scale in this setting, and it started scaring me a long time ago. Partner countries also would invest in expanding the global Stargate project. This is where reality will hit, because the US the dollar is still strong, the printing of the dollar is still strong, but it is this global power that is the old legacy systems where printing fiat and having a dollar control the rest of the world, that is breaking apart. So they won't be able to use that economic brutal engine to control the world any longer, which is why they need to try this. But ultimately, a few years down the line, they will need real funding from other countries and global and cultures, because one way or another, if it's Bitcoin, if it's gold, if it's commodities, if it's a mix, real currencies that can't be completely printed will win over this fiat printing one way or another. It's a question of scale and timing. So they will need investments from other countries in getting this off the ground and really keep controlling the world. But they won't get that, because in the meantime, and already of course, nations and countries and entrepreneurs all over the world will know the nature of this control. They will know the intentions in a much deeper way. And they will know that they need to fight this wave that AI is way harder than they thought, keeping national data inside of borders, and citizens and users will need to wisen up and stop sharing all of their data and take some of the power back. This will be a trend. I'll put this link in the description, of course. So I checked some things. I think this was in another setting today. It's because I'm gonna be traveling and I need to check. I got someone in Egypt that I want to help for free, because he helped me set up a tiny hotel website. I don't know if he's available any longer. It's like a year ago. I need to check. I'll set up a tiny VPS in Egypt. I'll set up his website, maybe with a booking system, maybe so that he can clone the install and sell it or give it away to other people who are renting flats out to tourists in Egypt, and then I could set it up on an Egyptian VPS and hand it over to him 100%. Like, just this is the login. You just change your password, and this is like 14 days free trial, or I paid for 3 months, and you just pay yourself from then on if you want to keep it. This is a way of doing work for especially small customers. That is the only thing that I got to work when I had these companies, is for small customers, give them full control, register everything in their card, sit down with them, do the whole job, and it's all in their control, and make sure that they know that everything is controlled by them, and you just bill by hour, or give it away in this case. This is a funny thing. I'm just noticing, like, suddenly there is lots of free VPS offers. Maybe these have been around for a while, but I'm not sure. I can try out free VPSs in Iran, so I would know the nature of the embargo and the technical parts of this firewall that the West is setting up against countries that don't do exactly what they want to do. And if I ever visit, I would like to visit. I was thinking about this some years ago. Now it would be risky, because I might escalate my online file from being a thought criminal to being something worse, and I don't want to be harassed on an airport in my own country, so I'll probably not go there. But I can do some scouting. I can do the same. I just recently saw someone from Iran joining the Hive network. It's very funny, because I was thinking one morning, like, oh, there should be more people, ordinary people on the ground from Iran on the Hive network, because it's a really interesting blockchain project where you can't be censored. Technically, you can't be censored. People can ignore you, or you can get muted. And there are ordinary people from all over the world who make tiny. I'm making like maybe $8 for a post if I put some work into it, and you can pay my food for a day, and you get these glimpses into ordinary people from all over the world who are not completely caught up in this big tech, now AI, and this Silicon Valley shaping of their minds. I might write a tiny bit about this and tag him. We'll see what happens. I think he was working in marketing, so good idea. Afghanistan. Afghanistan free VPS. There are lots of free VPSs in Afghanistan, so it's a country that need funding. So of course they're gonna offer free VPSs, and obviously there will be some intelligence gathering or some surveillance, or but frankly I think that would be less intrusive and more sane than what's happening in the West. Probably this runs like the control panel is not hosted there and whatever, but these are just examples, and I'm just wondering if these free VPSs are launched in like offers of free VPSs in very exotic countries. I think it is available now compared to a couple of years ago when they were all paid from day one. I think maybe these nations they want the IT sector to get foreign currency in, and then they see this global war as an opportunity to do that. They see the global war, so they also want intel. So it's a combined deal with the global, like the local IT providers. It's something to watch. It's something to experiment with. So this is where I am now, and I can finally talk about things like this because I've chosen to launch myself into this space and talk about these things in a more open way. And I know I'm like in local settings, I know I'm completely fine because I've always been on the side of local cultures and local people. I've been too idealistic. I've always been anti-open source into that, and the only problem is that I'm obviously not against my own culture, but I'm not even allowed to talk freely about that. That is what is not acceptable. And that is what I think now globally there is some recognition. And I see a very different for me the world is very different now, because things about the West that I could not even mention a couple of years ago, I can now talk about, and I get some kind of understanding from people who, for natural reasons, thinks that everything in the West is perfect and they want to send their kids there, or all of this. So these are big civilizational changes. AI is going to hypercharge it. This fight between local sane cultures that want to be themselves. Sometimes it's a nation state. Sometimes it's many cultures within a nation, or it doesn't. And corporations, companies, ordinary people, the natural world versus the technocratic world. Something I've been watching for a long time. It's something I'm watching constantly, and it's something that I feel that there is some reason for being optimistic around now. And that's the setting of all of this. I'll keep experimenting on it. AI is for now not on top of my list, but very soon I like to do some real life experiments with this. If I had the funding, I would set up local AI servers. If I had endless funding, if someone gave me a 10 Bitcoin to go up against OpenAI, one thing I would do is to set up locally run AIs on powerful hardware, just donate it to people in the country, just open for anyone within that IP range to enter data and start using it, and then you could build real local AIs, not this globalist death trap. That's what it is. It's a wild world, but you just gotta roll with it.